Welcome to Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. These are the stories of those who have received, given, and who are waiting for the gift of life, organ transplantation. Now here's your host and heart and kidney recipient, BJ Odom.
Welcome to the Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast, where we explore the extraordinary world of organ transplantation. I'm your host, BJ Odom. Each week, we share inspiring stories and introduce you to remarkable individuals sharing their own transplant stories. Be sure to support the podcast by leaving a 5-star review and subscribing or following on your preferred podcast platform. Have a transplant story to share or have comments about the podcast? We would love to hear from you. Just email us, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to connect with us on Facebook at Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast, as we welcome you to episode 73. Well, we had an extraordinary show planned with Randy today. But now, if you are in the transplant world, you've heard this word before, rejection. He was going to talk about his liver transplant, but now he's at his transplant hospital, and they are looking at him about a possible rejection and trying to get things all straightened out. So hopefully, fingers crossed, prayers going out there. Randy will be on the podcast very, very soon, as we wish him the very best of luck. So I figured, what better thing to do if we don't have a guest this week but to talk about the word rejection. And we'll do that coming up next. Again, we had Randy all scheduled to join us today on this episode 73, but he's going through some rejection. So we figured, what better time than now to talk a little bit to you about rejection. It happens when the body's immune system sees a transplanted organ as something that doesn't belong and fights against it. The good news is rejection doesn't always mean the end of a transplant. With the right medications, regular checkups, and quick treatment, most people get through it without a problem. It's a balancing act. Doctors have to quiet the immune system enough to protect the new organ, but not so much that the patient gets sick from infections. That's why transplant patients take their medication every single day and never miss their follow-ups. So today, we'll spend some time breaking down what rejection really means, how it's treated, and why listening to your body is so important when you're living with the gift of life. How doctors prevent rejection. Well, the main way to protect a new organ is with anti-rejection medications. These medications calm down the immune system so it won't attack the transplant. Patients usually take a combination of these drugs every single day for the rest of their lives. Along with medications, doctors also use regular blood tests and biopsies to catch rejection early, adjusting medication doses if lab results change, healthy lifestyle choices, eating well, avoiding infection, and staying on top of appointments. Why it's a balancing act? The challenge is, if you suppress the immune system too much, you're more likely to get infections. But if you don't suppress it enough, the organ may be rejected. That's why transplant patients often say managing their medications is like walking a tightrope. They need just the right balance. The good news, even if rejection happens, doctors can often treat it by adjusting medications, giving special infusions, or other targeted therapies. The key is early detection and treatment. That's why listening to your body, not ignoring symptoms, and keeping every follow-up appointment is so critical. Now I want to talk about something a little more specific when it comes to rejection. Something I've personally been through with my heart transplant. It's called donor-specific antibody rejection. So what does that mean? Well, when you get a transplant, your immune system sometimes creates antibodies. Think of antibodies like little guard dogs that are supposed to bark at anything they don't recognize, like germs or viruses. But in my case, and in many others, the guard dog started barking at the very organ that was keeping me alive. My immune system saw my donor heart as the enemy, and those antibodies began attacking it. That's what doctors call donor-specific antibodies, or DSA. It's different from the typical T-cell rejection you hear about because it's not just the immune cells, it's these proteins in your blood causing the trouble. Now, let me tell you, going through this is no small thing. I've had treatments like plasmapheresis, which is kind of like dialysis, but instead of cleaning waste from your blood, it filters those bad antibodies. I've also had IV infusions that calm down the immune system and help protect the heart. Sometimes they use really strong medications that target those antibodies directly. It's tough, but here's the hopeful part. We do have treatments, and if doctors catch it early through regular lab work and biopsies, they can often get ahead of it before too much damage is done. That's why follow-up care is absolutely vital for every transplant patient. So if you're listening today and you've been through antibody rejection yourself, know that you're not alone. I've walked that road too, and here I am to tell you, with the right care, the right team, and keeping on top of your health, you can get through it. This gift of life is worth every single fight. Sometimes transplant patients can go through a lot of different fights too, that is for sure. I've been through rejection, donor-specific antibody rejections. I just had a triple hernia surgery, which I'm still recovering from, and we are wishing Randy the very best of luck through his small rejection problem, and hopefully he will be here soon to share his story about his liver transplant. But I thought, didn't have a guest this week, so I thought the best thing to do is let's just talk a little bit about rejection, since our guest couldn't join us today because he is going through rejection. And I know many of the patients out there that listen to this podcast and have had transplants have experienced the same thing. And we wish you all the best of luck. Yeah, it's sometimes a rough fight, but it's well worth it. I'm 22 years out now on my heart transplant, 10 years out on my kidney transplant. And I continue to fight each and every day. But I'll tell you, I got some great days ahead of me and some fantastic days that I've already lived. So, hey, we just keep rolling on this roller coaster called the world of transplantation. And hey, be sure to join us each week. We have new heartfelt episodes that we release every Tuesday. And if you have a transplant story, please email me because we would love to hear your story. In fact, what we do, we let you tell your story the way you want to tell it. And we've had like heart transplants, kidney transplant, liver transplant. We've had them all. We've had donor families. We've had kidney donors, living liver donors. It's an amazing world and some amazing people that share information with us. So hopefully next week we'll be back again. No rejections, and we'll have more stories to share from more people. So again, if you have a transplant story, please email us, giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Facebook. And as always, don't forget to like and share this episode with family and friends. We'd also appreciate that 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Another podcast you might enjoy is myself and my old radio morning show partner, Bill Stevens. BJ and Bill, the podcast, on the Podcast Playground Network, and we want to thank them for making this podcast possible. Until next time, I'm BJ Odom. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey and reminding us all to appreciate each and every day and to treasure the extraordinary gift of life.
He was running on empty, heart fading fast. Doctor said, man, you ain't gonna last. But a stranger's kindness, a gift so true, turned the night sky into something new. He got a second chance, he got a brand new spark. like a freight train rolling back from the dark. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. Years later, the road got rough. The fight ain't over when the climb is tough. Needed a kidney, the race was on. Another hero stepped up, kept him strong. Every breath he takes is a tale of hope. One life saved, another can cope. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. Doctor's hands, a donor's grace, running on down to a brand new place. Second chances don't come twice, but when they do, man, they feel so nice. Let's spread the word, let the people know. One yes today lets a miracle grow. You don't need wings just to save a man. Just a little love, a helping hand. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. BJ still rocking, still standing tall. Thanks to the ones who gave it all. Gift of life, hear the sound. Pass it on, pass it down. The Gift of Life podcast hosted by BJ Odom. Listen now.